Mistake number 1, batch and blast emails. As you all know, sending out emails can help you keep in touch with your leads and provide relevant conversation into the dialogue that will help you build a relationship. Trying to develop the content to put into your emails is always the top challenge for most marketers, especially those with limited resources. So we find ourselves cutting corners and putting together emails that go to our entire list. We justify it by saying, well, people are all interested in pretty much the same thing. So instead of thinking through the continuity of having leads segment themselves and figuring out effective ways to follow up and continue the conversation, too many marketers are still sending email to their entire list. They are batching and blasting the same communication to everyone. The problem is you're going to wear out your list. Let's look at an example. Say you have a total of 1,000 people in your list, and you send out an email, you get a 15% open rate. You've got 150 of them actually looking at it, and then out of that you get a 10% click-through rate, or 15 people. The thing you want to keep in mind is that those 15 only represent 1.5% of your original 1,000 in your list. You didn't engage 85 to 98.5% of your list. So as you batch and blast emails out to your list, the vast majority have absolutely no interest in what it is you're saying, nor are they engaged. So if you want to engage your list and get better results, you've got to get beyond treating your list as one big entity. Let's look at a live example. We've got a new booklet out called Effective Online Marketing in a Nutshell. It's in my new booklet, and we decided we would send an email announcing the booklet to our entire list. Now, some of these people have been there forever. Some people are super active. Some people are not. We experienced an open rate of 15% and a click-through rate of 26%. Now, with our whole list, that's only 3.8% of that original 6,700. So response to our booklet announcement only really engaged a small percentage. So we didn't engage 85 to 96% of them. Now there could be a lot of reasons for that, but we didn't engage them, right? So that's who actually came through that particular email offer that we did. If you can segment your leads based on their interests and delight more of them with different messages, you won't run the risk of wearing out your list with messages they're just not interested in. You can up the odds of connecting with your leads in a way that may lead to a sale. Let's look at the impact of tracking and segmenting. If you've got a total list of 1,000 people and you can segment them into different interests, say you had half your list you could segment, then when you send out an email, you're going to end up with a higher open rate. We've got 40% here. We've seen as high as 63%. And then your click-through rate, we've still kept it pretty modest at 15%. But even with this example, you'll see that merely tracking your leads so that you can segment them, you have engaged more quantity, or 30 leads, but you've only sent to half your list. And that is, if you just look at click-through as a rate of engagement, you have now doubled your engagement rate. Let's look at a live example of segmenting and tracking. So we started our batch and blast example with the email that we sent to our entire list about the new booklet that announced the new booklet that we had just came up with. And that original announcement offer went out to 6,700. And of that, the initial mailing that we did of the booklet, because it's a physical booklet, went out to 150 people. Once we mail the booklet, we start them into a series of emails. That first email that we send out, segmented just to that group of 150, got an open rate of 53%, or 80 leads actually opened it. The link, we don't really look at the click-through rate closely on this one because the link takes people to the microsite that supports and extends the ideas in the booklet. And at this point, the majority have not received the booklet at this time because we've just sent it to them. And we're introducing that site in this email. So they might be curious, but they don't have the booklet yet. So at any rate, that's what there is to know about that. Then you've got to come up with engaging the remainder. So you've got that unsegmented remainder of 500 leads. So say you just send an email, a generic email to them with some clicks that would allow people to indicate an interest or to give you more information about themselves. And you get a 20% click-through rate. Now what's fun about this is you've got, every time you do this, you've got more people, assuming somebody clicks through, you've got more people that you can now target with more relevant messages rather than sending the same thing to them as you do everyone else. So in a recent interview that I did with Joe Polizzi, we actually explored how to start segmenting. So one of the things that we talked about is exactly what we've laid out here, which is you have a combination strategy. So while the vast majority of your list is unsegmented and you send them a newsletter, maybe every month, those that do click through, you have particular options for them to click through in an interest area that you're going to specialize in or nurture, and you just maybe start nurturing them while sending the rest kind of this regular newsletter. So you start to segment out as you go, and you start with one area, and as you get that mastered, then you can branch into more. There really is a mandate to segment and be relevant. If we just take a look at some of what's out there, there's a study done in 2010 this year by the CMO Council that 41% of U.S. Internet users threatened to stop buying from companies that sent them irrelevant messages. So you want to really be seen as relevant. It's going to help your open rates, and it's going to help every aspect basically of your marketing. When asked, here's another one by Jupiter, when asked why recipients stopped subscribing to opt-in emails, more than one-half said the content was no longer relevant. Now, back in 2008, Marketing Sherpa did a study that looked at what are the open rates for segmented versus non-segmented, and they're as much as 20% higher, and click-through rates double for segmented emails. So you really want to take this seriously. Mistake number 2, no metrics. Imagine driving your car without a speedometer, fuel, coolant, or oil gauges. I know it sounds silly, and you might be thinking it would never happen, but imagine driving down the freeway and not knowing whether you've got much gas in your tank. It could start sputtering at any time. All right, maybe that is a little extreme. Let's try this one on. What if you had no fuel gauge until you got back to your garage? Only then, after your trip, could you see how much gas you have left. The point is that while you think those are silly examples and not very realistic, we treat and run our marketing programs just like that. The challenge is, how do you know it's working? How do you evolve and improve? And geez, who are your most responsive leads, right? Without comprehensive real-time tracking and measurement of your leads, marketing becomes a game of luck, chance, and guesswork. And if you've got IT pulling together your metrics, you really are handicapping yourself. I was in a conversation with some folks, and I was amazed that they've cobbled together a bunch of different things and a bunch of different systems, but they have their IT group has got to do a bunch of work to pull together their comprehensive reports after the period ends. So they don't get them until 30 days after the period that they're measuring ends. So at the end of a month, they wait another 30 days to find out, comprehensively what's going on with their leads. So meanwhile, their marketing's got to continue. And as I look at this, companies who are hogtied by really having comprehensive metrics, what do you do? And I thought, the best thing you can do is you guess what to do next. Now, yeah, you're an experienced marketer and you have a feel for your market and all of that. So it's an educated guess, but nevertheless, it's still your best feel. It's your best hunch. It's your best thought about what you can do. And in today's fast-paced world with a lot of competitors, it can stymie even the best and the brightest of marketers. Continuous improvement requires metrics. Industry benchmark data is only a starting point. Besting your own efforts will provide true improvement and knowledge. Build your knowledge of your audience behavior based on your results. And you have your metrics. Having metrics allows you to try, test, tweak, and tune. It gives you flexibility. It gives you some freedom. The result is that you learn more about your target audience. And that provides fuel for your ongoing marketing activities. It actually allows you to to kind of very intentionally be creative in certain areas. It informs that the marketing efforts and the creativity and the thinking as you start to look at those results and those metrics.